Throughout the month of Elul, we say Psalm 27. In the Siddur, this is found on page 76 in the Tehillat Hashem Siddur. But it's Psalm 27, which you can find in Psalms. Some have the custom of saying it, as like in Chabad, we say it in the morning, we say it in the afternoon. Prayers, Shachris and Mincha. Parenthetically, there's an interesting significance. Since October 7th with Psalm 27, one of the former captives and hostages from October 7th, Sapir Cohen, shares her story that sometime before October 7th, about a month or so, she felt something really eerie inside of her. She felt she was unwell. She went to doctors. Doctor said there's no problem, everything is fine. But she still felt uneasy inside of her. And so she looked online for some kind of spiritual guide. She looked online about health and prayers and so on. And so she stumbled across some kind of instruction of saying Psalm 27 for 30 days. And by saying this Psalm for 30 days, this brings healing. So she started. And as she's saying it, she said, I see over here by David, the Lord is my light, my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is my strength. Who shall I dread? I get that, but then it starts speaking about if an army, when evildoers approach me to devour my flesh, my oppressors, my foes, they stumbled and fell. If an army were to beleaguer me, my heart would not fear. Like, what's the relevance of all this? It doesn't seem to have any relevance. But she said it. She dutifully said it every day. And the last day of the 30 days that she was saying it was October 7th. And then it all came together. She understood the significance of this psalm to her life. She also shared that one of the captors asked her if she knew how to pray. So she knew this psalm by heart by now. And she says, yes. She says, pray, And here she is. She is saying the Psalm 27 about her evildoers, that they will not succeed. In fact, even later in the Psalm, when it refers to do not give me over to the will of my oppressors, for they have risen against me false witnesses, and they speak evil. The last word, which is about evil, that word actually is Hamas. So it was just beyond her how it related to her specific and unique situation. By the way, it wasn't something which was just unique to her. Obviously, it was clearly connected to her situation. But there is a universal custom that we all say this during that time before Shmini Atzeres Simchas Torah, which is Hoshana Rabbah. So that year we ended saying Psalm 27 on October 6th. Anyway, I'd like to focus on this psalm today. To review this psalm, first I'll read the translation and then delve a little deeper into it. So it begins by David. The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I dread? When evildoers approach me to devour my flesh, my oppressors and my foes, they stumbled and fell. If an army were to beleaguer me, my heart would not fear. If war to arise against me, in this I trust. In other words, that the Lord is my light and my salvation. One thing I have asked of the Lord, This I seek, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the pleasantness of the Lord, and to visit in his sanctuary. For he will hide me in his tabernacle in a day of adversity. He will conceal me in the hidden places of his tent. He will lift me upon a rock, and then my head will be raised upon my enemies around me. And I will offer in his tabernacle sacrifices of jubilation. I will sing and chant to the Lord. Lord, hear my voice as I call. Be gracious to me and answer me. In your behalf, my heart says, seek my countenance. Your countenance, Lord, I seek. Do not conceal your countenance from me. Do not cast aside your servant in wrath. You have been my help. Do not abandon me, nor forsaken me, God of my deliverance. Though my father and mother have forsaken me, the Lord has taken me in. Lord, teach me your way, and lead me in the path of righteousness, because of my watchful enemies. Do not give me over to the will of my oppressors, for they have risen against me false witnesses, and they speak evil. They would have crushed me, had I not believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living. Hope in the Lord, be strong, and let your heart be valiant, and hope in the Lord. A very powerful psalm. The association to the month of Elul. This is the month which we prepare ourselves for the high holidays, Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur. It's considered the month of mercy. Historically, it's the month when Moshe Rabbeinu went up the mountain, Mount Sinai, for the third time, and this time seeking reconciliation on behalf of the Jewish people after the sin of the golden calf. He went up the mountain on Rosh Chodesh Elul, stayed up the mountain for 40 days and 40 nights, and returned on Yom Kippur with the second set of tablets, which was God's reconciliation and renewal with the Jewish people, a day of forgiveness, a day of renewal. The psalm itself, we have references to the holidays as well, where it says, Va'ato yorum roshi, and now lift up my head. It's a reference for Rosh Hashanah. We also have Zivchei Teruah, the offerings. Teruah are one of the sounds of the shofar. This is the offerings of jubilation. We have the reference to Sukkah. You have Kitzpeneni B'Sukkah. Kitzpeneni B'Sukkah B'Yemra, you have hidden and concealed me in your Sukkah. But then interestingly, at the very end of Psalm 27, where it says, had I not believed that I would see the goodness of the Lord in the land of the living, the word lule is spelled in a very unusual way. Lule, throughout Tehillim, the word lule is found many times. King David uses this in Psalms. Had I not. And it's usually spelled Lamed Vav, Lamed Yud. Here it's spelled Lamed Vav, Lamed Aleph, which backwards spells the word Elul. So there are several references to this time, especially the month of Elul, to recite this psalm. But I'd like to focus on two elements in this psalm, a takeaway. Number one, the first phrase, the first verse. Excuse me. The Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life, whom shall I dread? When we focus on this, we find there is fear and there is dread. And perhaps an insight that one can glean from this statement is, so there is fear and dread, and then there is light and strength. So the Lord is my light and my salvation, whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Whom shall I dread? And what I'd like to suggest is that generally in life, there are things that we fear. And we can probably categorize them into two buckets, two compartments of fear. So there's the fear and then there's the dread. If the antidote to fear is light and salvation, and the antidote to dread is the strength of my life, perhaps the two types of fear is the fear of the unknown, the fear of being overtaken, beaten, cowed. In fact, these are things that children are afraid from youth. Afraid of the dark, which is afraid of the unknown. What's lurking under the bed? What's lurking in the darkness? The fear of things which are bigger and stronger, louder. David writes over here, the Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? If there is light, when I'm in the darkness, or even in the darkness of a more mature darkness, not the darkness of what's lurking, the darkness of what's going to be, God is my light. God is holding my hand and saying, I got you. As King David writes in Psalm 23, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil because you are with me. It's still the valley of the shadow of death. That's pretty scary. So why do I fear no evil? Because I'm in your hands. I'm with you. So the first dread, the first fear, is fear of the unknown, fear of that darkness. But if we know that God is with us, God is my light, if it is still unknown, but I'm in God's hands, therefore I fear no evil. The second thing is, the fear is something much more powerful than I am, stronger than I am. Fear of being beaten, eliminated, taken down, overpowered, silenced. This may be something a deeper fear, which he refers to as a dread. The Lord is the strength of my life. Where do I gain strength? Recognizing that I'm with God. God is my strength. So the very opening of the psalm is incredibly empowering. Apropos, for the month of Elul as well, as we put things in perspective to prepare ourselves for the high holidays, what do we rely on? When we have the fear of the unknown, when we have the fear of being overtaken, what do we rely on? We rely on information online. Is that what I seek? Is it AI? Is that my salvation? All these things are tools. King David puts in perspective what is really our salvation. God is my light. God is my strength. And then in the middle of Psalm 27, a very powerful verse, King David writes, to you my heart says, seek my countenance. Your countenance, Lord, I seek. Why does he say it in such an unusual fashion? Why couldn't he just say, I seek your countenance? Why does he say, on your behalf, or to you my heart says? Again, I'd like to suggest here another deep message that King David writes. We are always seeking. We are always seeking something to fill the void inside. And this is something which is replete in Dr. Viktor Frankl often speaks about this. There's a void and emptiness inside and we seek to fill it. We seek to fill it with happiness, with power, with things. And then this leads to addictions, etc. Things that we want to fill the void inside. But we're always seeking. But not knowing the spiritual source to it, Dr. Viktor Frankl puts his finger on it clearly. that the deepest quest that we're really looking for is a higher meaning and purpose. That's the neshama seeking. So therefore, King David writes, "To you my heart says, seek my countenance." King David is speaking on behalf of everyone. All our hearts are seeking for something to fill the inner void. We just don't know what it is. And we think, no, this is going to make me happy. Oh, that's my void will be okay. Or when I go on this vacation, I'll be all right. I'll be happy. Oh, then I'll be all right. Or when I get this position, or when I achieve this status, or when this happens or that happens, then I'll be okay. Then I'll fill that inner void. What we end up filling ourselves with is empty calories. We feel at the moment that it's full, but we're still not satisfied. And so King David writes, "To you, my heart says, seek my countenance." What we are really, really looking for is to fill it with the divine, with God, with a higher meaning and purpose. When we answer the question, is my purpose to live, or am I living with purpose? Am I seeking what I need, or what I'm needed for? When we recite this psalm, this puts things in perspective. In the month of Elul, what are we really filling that empty feeling inside with? Whom do we truly turn for the inner fear that drives us? Because that's something that really drives us. Inner fear is what drives life as well. Perhaps even more powerful than love is the drive through fear. King David puts this all together in this psalm. That when I realize that when I fill the inner emptiness with a higher meaning and purpose, when I realize that the fear that drives me in life, the unknown and the overpowering feeling that I may have, recognizing that I'm in the divine presence, then I truly have power. I'm truly aligned. And with that, he concludes, "Therefore, hope in the Lord. Be strong. Let your heart be valiant, and hope in the Lord."